I know what my audience like. I did some independent films with Master P, and a lot of those movies did really well.
I'm ambitious, I'm a hustler. I have my own lane.
That's the thing about comedy. You wake up every day, you don't know if you're funny that day.
Bow, 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 wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Two down, down, wow. I like that. Let's hear it again. Bow, 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 down. No sound? Oh, okay. That's why I did it twice. I had a feeling. What about now? That's why I played it twice. Bow, 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 bow. Do, 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 do. Bow, 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 bow. Hey, 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 hey. All right, what's up, y'all? Good to see y'all, man. Welcome back. I'm on there and have a seat. Good to see y'all. Welcome into the show. It's been a long time. I ain't seen you in a minute. Hope everything is well as we come on in and get situated. Good to see y'all. Welcome to the program. This is Let's Go Live with Lamont King. I'm Lamont King. We are now live, so we might as well let's go. Something like a podcast. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Scheduled for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday and Wednesday version is 8 p.m. Eastern time. Shout out to everybody watching right now on the West Coast. I see you. And worldwide. Trending topics, hilarious commentary, celebrity guests, and interesting people all rolled into one. Trying to do a little something here, man. Just brought to you by our longest running sponsor, Drunken Fruit. Spell it right.com or at on Instagram. They are bringing you the Washington, what was it called? Hold on. I got to see. I forgot what it was called. Bringing you the National Harbor Wine and Food Festival this Saturday. And we sending, I think it was Rockman and somebody else. They emailed me. But yeah, so we're sending those two guys. I need y'all names, man. Y'all real names. So if I didn't say it last Friday, I know somebody hit me on Instagram, but I can't remember who it was. But shoot me your real names. Matter of fact, I'll put my email in the chat right quick if you're watching tonight. My email address so I can get your real name so we can forward that ahead. You feel me? You figure deal me. Hit the thumbs up while you're here, while you come on in, and let's do that. All right, here's the phone number, 765 Let's Go 1. 765-538-7461. And also, you check the chat on YouTube. The link to join the show. If at any time you feel so compelled, you want to jump on here and respond to anything, talk some shit, cosign, bring up something, whatever. All right, YouTube chat. Here's my email. It's my official email. For Rockman. And I forgot who it was. Was it Verrett? I think it was Verrett. Either way. Shout out to our executive producer down the hall, Studio G, Dr. Clarkson on the technicals. And our New York bureau chief, John Watson, on assignment currently. All right. Watch Along Wednesday, man. Try something a little different. We figuring out things that work. We saw if you was with us Friday. I apologize for not being here Monday. There was a scheduling snafu. It wasn't a PTO day. There was an actual scheduling snafu. And shit just got snafu'd. But yeah, last Friday we had a really good time, man. All fun and games. We played trivia. I think we will be doing some version of that every Friday moving forward. Just so you know. Some people sent me some really interesting stories today. I appreciate you. We're going to get into a couple of them. Most of them video. Some are just headlines. But news of the day. Hey man, this whole Haitian political refugees, these political, I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to frame it, because words mean a lot. Words are powerful. And if you don't say the right word, necessarily, whatever message you're trying to get across or point you're trying to make can get lost in translation. I've heard the situation. I don't know if you've familiar or been under the rock, but the other day there was some video that went viral of U.S. Border Patrol agents corralling, ranching, if you will, some what's the right word? They use migrants. They use refugees. I'm going to go with refugees. I'm going to go with refugees only because, depending on your ethnic group, refugee is a strong word to use. So these are people who fled the country of Haiti, who was dealing with natural disasters and an assassinated president, to the U.S. by way of Mexico. You get to the Texas border. Now, first of all, there's so much context missing. I have, admittedly, I'm talking with my hands. Admittedly, I was going to say wrangling too. That's the other word I was going to use. Admittedly, I have not did a deep dive. But on the surface, there's so much missing to the story. Let me continue, and then I'm going to backtrack. So apparently, the U.S. border agents were on horseback in full gear, wrangling, corralling, ranching these Haitian migrant refugees, political prisoners, whatever you want to frame it, who were trying to cross the border into the United States of America, the land of milk and honey, for freedom of persecution, better opportunity, whatever have you, survival. And the dudes on horseback was straight whipping them and talking shit. And it caused a global outrage that stopped short, just stopped short of the White House. Anyway, people pissed off. There's a lot of comparisons to the Afghani refugees, evacuees, however you want to frame that, who were evacuated from war-torn Afghanistan by the people that caused the war. And they were being flown, approximately 95,000 of them, to various parts of the United States, given a stipend, given relocation assistance, giving money to, from a quote I heard on WTOP News Talk Radio, to start a new life, possibly start businesses. And so similarly, I guess, because Haitians, people can watch the news too, they have technology. They may have seen that and thought, well, hey, let's go there. Y'all don't even have to fly me. Wrong. They didn't realize that sort of freedom and access is not necessarily for you. We were looking for Afghans. Sorry. The correct answer was Afghan. So it was very troubling visuals. It took 2 days for a lot of the news media to process it and to even get a response from the White House. And of course, the White House response first initially was, we got to wait till the facts come out, because what you're seeing is your eyes. Your eyes could be lying. So we're going to run an investigation. And then the feigned outrage immediately followed. And it was like, oh, this is horrible. We're going to hold those people who were involved responsible, blah, 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 blah. It looked really ugly. I'm not even going to play it because, just absolutely ridiculous. That mentality, it's not, ridiculous, but not shocking. We have to remember who we're dealing with. Whenever I see something like this on social media and everybody gets, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Don't do that to yourself. Stop doing that to yourself. Because you're literally faking. You're faking when you do that. You know what you're dealing with. Let me see. I think Sonny Houston had the best response. That's worth playing again. Response to Haitians being beat. Let's see what Google gives us for that search. Sonny Houston responds to. Let's see. So Sonny Houston was on the View or the View, and she made some very, very strong statements that were so on point. It was really indisputable, saying how basically. All right, let's watch it. Hold on, let's watch it. Let's watch it together in real time, and then I'll take your calls and give me your position. Let me know where you at on this one, because it ain't over. It is not over. So we're gonna watch along. Sonny Houston from The View. All right, let's get it. No, I don't recall.
We would walk on the sidewalk.
Yesterday, we saw horrifying footage emerging of Mounted Patrol people trying to corral Haitian immigrants trying to cross the Texas border to seek asylum. Now, Haiti was just ravaged by an earthquake, and their president's assassination has left the country in chaos. But the administration is still flying migrants back there. Is this beyond an immigration issue? Is this a full-blown human rights crisis? And if
yes.
it is, why aren't we treating it like one?
And yes.
These images, they're so horrific. And I think we need to remind ourselves, these are human beings. They're not animals. They deserve our great compassion and empathy. People don't leave their homes unless they are desperate
we're going to skip
do
ahead.
So.
Moving ahead into continuing
well
coverage
of why
for the sake of time.
Well, we saw it, and you and I talked about this, Whoopi. We saw it when it first came to the demonizing of Haitians when it came to the AIDS crisis.
That's right.
And then we saw it continuing. It really began with the raping and pilfering of France by Haiti and the punishment of Haiti for becoming the first Black free nation in our hemisphere. And I think that U.S. policy towards Haiti has always been corrupt.
Here come the bars.
And it doesn't have to be that way, because we know that the United States can do it. There is a way to do it. There's just no will to do it, because the United States and the White House has promised to bring 95,000 Afghans here. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be brought here, because they should be.
Let's do this.
Right?
All right.
That is the promise.
Litigate, sis. All right. So first of all, let's look at body language. I'm gonna let this play, but we gotta look at body language. When you serving, this is when you're serving. You do the whole. When you really put somebody in their place, and you do the whole over enunciation, you be like, sit your ass down, right? And then they don't do it. You be like, sit your ass down. You know what I'm saying? Like, she hit you with the 95,000. Don't make no mistake. We've done it and can do it. All right, let's go back. That part excited me. All right, let me go back.
95,000
Wait, one more
Afghans
time.
here.
One more time. I want to miss it. One more time.
States and the White House has promised to bring 95,000 Afghans here. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be brought here, because they should be, right? That is the promise of this country. But if you can bring 95,000 Afghans here, then why are you sending 86 Haitians back on an airplane to a country that has been devastated? So it's not about whether or not there's a way. It's not about that there's a pandemic. But this policy started with the Trump administration. It's called Title 42, and the Trump administration decided to ban migrants, from refugees from coming. So when people say, well, get in line, there is no line because of the Trump administration. And there has never been a line for Haitians. And I take this personally because my husband is Haitian.
Ooh.
And I have been to Haiti
Stop
many,
I
many
say.
times. And it is a beautiful, beautiful country with a rich culture and a beautiful people. And they should not be treated like this. And enough is enough.
Well, funny is
I really don't want to hear anybody from anybody else. That was a mouthful. But my thing is, all right, so I see what y'all saying. I've heard somebody say this on Twitter and all that. Afghans are white and Haitians are black, and isn't it obvious? Well, that part ain't really obvious to me. I didn't realize Afghans were white. I didn't know that they were white facing. I guess that's not hard to believe, but I didn't know that counts. Dang, you know how low on the totem pole black folks got to be below Middle Easterns, the way America treats Middle Easterners? 86 Haitians. So that means it was actually enough to really you could have really let them in. 80. I didn't even know that until I saw this clip earlier today, and I was like, oh, it was 86. Oh, they out there. Oh, they was just out there having fun. Their border patrol, they was having fun. Like for no reason. 86. Like I said, I thought it was like thousands and thousands, and the shit just got out of hand, and they were just, protocol is in these situations we gotta use every available means of force to protect the border and keep people safe, save lives, all those other cliche buzzwords. I thought that's what it was. I didn't know it was 86. 86 though, and most of them was kids and women. Ridiculous. All right, so that being said, Kennard says every census form has Arab, white. Yeah, but that's the trick. Are Afghanis Arab? Are they considered Arab? I need to get back on my history, man, because I thought they were closer to like, oh, maybe not. That's Pakistani. Closer to Indian. It gets deep, ladies and gentlemen. All right, speaking of deep, let me do this. This is what I really wanted to do today. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to do a watch along Wednesday, because I saw on social media the level of ignorance that was spewed. I made very little commentary, but I sent out a couple punchlines, and it was black people responding, and like from a place of just uninformity and unlearnedness. So I was like, all right, let's do this. There's a particular and specific history of America as it relates to Haiti. If you've studied any contemporary Western history, there's a big piece of the puzzle that's always left out in the formation of the New World. And that is, ironically, Haiti and the Haitian Revolution. Wherefore, if not for freed Haitians, America would not have been able to defeat both the French and the British in places like Savannah, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina. This is all in books. It's all in books. I ain't no professor, but specifically Haitians. All right, so you don't believe me? Let's watch along. All right, let's watch this brief little video here and try to get some little history. Where we at? Where it go at? Stand by. It's a live show. Pull this video up. Oh, here we go. How Haiti saved America. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Let's watch together, shall we?
Haiti is one of two countries, along with the Dominican Republic, located on the island of Hispaniola in the Caribbean. With a land size of 27,750 square kilometers, or 10,714 square miles, and an estimated population of 11.4 million persons, Haiti is the third largest Caribbean territory by land size and the territory with the largest population. Despite such large figures, in comparison to countries outside the Caribbean, Haiti would be considered a small country. One may therefore ask, what impact can such a small country make?
It's the music for me.
Let's investigate an interesting account of how Haiti helped to create one of the largest countries in the world and one of the most powerful economies in human history, the United States of America.
Okay, let's get it.
In 1803,
Pens out.
the United States purchased 827,000 square miles of land west of the Mississippi River from France for US $50 million. In today's money, that would be equivalent to US $600 billion.
That's like the debt.
This land purchase allowed the United States to acquire land that, in today's geographical terms, would make up 15 states and parts of 2 Canadian provinces. The purchase increased not only the United States land acquisition and ownership, but it also increased their chances of attaining wealth, becoming the world's foremost economic and military power.
Now let me stop real quick. Dr. Clarkson, I don't know if he's in studio, but didn't he tell us one time, y'all remember? Didn't he tell us that they can't even teach about the Louisiana Purchase no more? Or something crazy like that? Haiti should have built that wall.
The purchase of such a vast expanse of land would not have been possible for the Americans if it were not for a resilient group of freed slaves on a small island in the Caribbean and a panicking French emperor. The French Empire controlled the territory of Louisiana, which was called the Louisiana Territory of New France, from 1699 to 1762.
All right.
It was then ceded to the Spanish during the Treaty of Fontainebleau in 1762.
Okay, so from the indigenous to the French, then the Spanish.
Amounts of untapped land, which was further cemented with France's defeat to Spain during the 7 Years' War.
Everybody was just running through the joint
between 1756 and 1763.
All right.
This allowed for Spain to control everything west and Britain to control everything east of the Mississippi River. The British controlled everything east of the river until 1776 with the success of the American Revolution. All that changed in the year 1800.
Okay, here we go.
Napoleon Bonaparte was introduced as the first French consul of the French Republic.
They used to call him
Napoleon was the new face of French power and the French identity after the events of the French Revolution, which lasted for a decade from 1789 to 1799. In a secret meeting labeled the
Always
Third
a secret
Treaty
meeting.
of San Ildefonso, France exchanged territories in Tuscany, Italy, for the colony of Louisiana with Spain.
Wow. Ain't asked
Then
nobody
President
permission.
of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, had expressed the newly formed United States intention of purchasing the port city of New Orleans first, and then purchasing lands in Louisiana step by step.
Thomas
The
Jefferson
Americans saw Spain as a weakening power, but France's regaining of the colony sparked fear and concern, with Jefferson stating that the acquisition of the land by France under Napoleon would cause the Americans to seek allegiance with their former masters, Britain, and might even spark a newly reformed slave trade or task force regime. The possibility of the Americans acquiring the land seemed unlikely, and France's newly refreshed dominance in the Western Hemisphere seemed on the rise, until Haiti.
Here we go.
The Haitian Revolution began in 1791 and lasted until 1804. What happened during that time on the Caribbean territory, then known as Saint-Domingue, was nothing short of bloody, gruesome, and chaotic.
I need that artwork
However,
right there.
the impact of the event changed history forever. After the end of the French Revolution in 1799, the ideals of equal rights for all human beings rang throughout the Americas and the Caribbean.
But they were lying though.
However, the revolution had left France in financial difficulty.
It's always about the
As
money.
a result, heavy tariffs were placed against planters stationed in Haiti who were importing produce from France. The Haitian planters, in return, were not allowed to trade with any other external power. This limited growth in a colony that was, by far, the crown jewel of the Kingdom of France. The colony produced 40% of all sugar and 60% of all coffee imported by Europe. And France sent over 800,000 African slaves to Haiti. That's more than double the number of slaves sent by France to the entire North American continent.
Whoa.
Such as Toussaint Louverture.
All right, history
and
moment.
Jean-Jacques
Hold up.
Dessalines
Did you catch that
were the
factoid?
main
I ain't know that.
champions of
I ain't know
Kingdom
that.
of France. The colony produced 40% of all sugar and 60% of all coffee imported by Europe.
Zion!
France sent over 800,000 African slaves to Haiti. That's more than double the number of slaves sent by France to the entire North America.
Zion!
Revolutionaries such as Toussaint Louverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines were the main champions of the revolution, leading strategic military advances against French troops, defeating both the French army and the navy.
Both of them.
Louverture was captured and died in prison in 1803, 1 year before the end of the revolution. Dessalines finished the task, leading a final successful revolt in 1804, signaling the birth of the Second Republic in the Western Hemisphere after the United States, and the first independent state governed by ex-African slaves
100%.
in history. The Haitian Revolution left a deep scar on the military might and the resources of the French kingdom turned empire, with over 2/3 of all French troops that were sent to Haiti being killed. The loss of the colony also hurt France economically, giving way for Napoleon to consider other ways of acquiring money to fund his war efforts, especially his advances throughout Europe. U.S. President Thomas Jefferson did not recognize the Haitian state in an effort to build a good relationship with France, with the aim of acquiring New Orleans and some of the territory from the Louisiana colony.
Oh, that's some whole
Things
shit.
worked out even better for the Americans.
That's some whole shit.
The loss of Haiti was so great to France that Napoleon, in desperation for funds, sold the entire colony of Louisiana, all 827,000 square miles of it, to the United States for $15 million. Result, the Louisiana Purchase more than doubled the size of the United States, allowing them to acquire lands that later on would be discovered as having precious minerals and resources such as gold and oil. The Louisiana Purchase in today's money costs over US $600 billion, and today the land purchase is well worth over US $2 trillion.
Wow.
Because of the initiative of a few African slaves on a Caribbean island and the willingness of a French emperor to sell, the United States, though already birthed, truly began to bloom, paving the way in becoming the massive expanse of land and the economic superpower that it is today.
Okay, all right. A little bit of history, little tidbit, because he can explain it better than I could. So I just wanted to, now let's look at this though. Conversely, let's watch this though. They're not paying. I don't know nothing about none of that. All right, let's watch this real quick.
Haiti, and this is what you'll likely hear.
Poverty, natural disaster, now political violence.
Every report about Haiti has to include the line that it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere.
But hold on for a second. Something's missing in this conversation.
There we go.
Right?
We need to be all thinking about the relationship of what we're calling poverty in Haiti and the relation to the richness of the rest of the world. And how did the rest of the world get so rich?
Exploitation.
Let's start with France. Imagine if you were enslaved, and after fighting for your independence, you were forced to spend the next couple of generations paying compensation to those who colonized you.
Reparations for slaveholders is a new one for me.
That is exactly what happened to Haiti.
This is punishment for their unwillingness to remain under the yoke of slavery.
In 1697, France and Spain ended a war with each other by dividing up the Spanish colony Hispaniola. Through the labor of enslaved indigenous and black people, Saint-Domingue became the world's most profitable colony, exporting sugar, coffee, and...
Hold up, y'all. I was trying to put the link in the chat. Hold on. We back with it. It's a live show, don't trip. Shit happens. Back up a little bit.
Profitable colony, exporting sugar, coffee, and indigo.
Enslaved people in Saint-Domingue suffered some of the harshest and cruelest slave punishments in the entire Atlantic world. Life expectancy was extremely low, such that at the moment of the Haitian Revolution breaking out in August of 1791, the vast majority of enslaved people had only been on the island for 2 or 3 years. They were from whatever nation that they had been captive and brought over, and they basically said no.
Self-liberated Africans led the Haitian Revolution and ended slavery in present-day Haiti and the Dominican Republic. After 12 years of fighting the French colonial power, which had tried to reintroduce slavery, the formerly enslaved people of Saint-Domingue officially declared their independence and renamed their country Haiti.
Okay.
Many countries, including the United States, refused to recognize Haitian independence in fear of slave rebellions. And France refused to accept Haiti's independence unless Haiti paid 150 million francs as so-called compensation for lost revenues from slavery. That was around 10 times Haiti's annual budget. But Haiti couldn't decline the indemnity request since the French came ready for war, carrying more than 500 cannons on their ships. Articles from that period show that the French king knew the Haitian government wouldn't be able to repay the debt, which decimated Haiti's economy. Haitians had extremely high taxes, and most of the tax revenue was paid for the indemnity. This left the education system, public infrastructures, and healthcare underdeveloped. Agricultural land was also depleted to grow cash crops that paid for the debt but couldn't feed the country. It took Haiti 122 years to pay off its debt and required taking high-interest loans.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy to say that Haiti is poor and Haiti must be poor. And I think the better question whenever a people, an entire people is characterized as poor with this word, is to say, not why are they poor, but why aren't you?
But it's not just the French who have played a role in Haiti's misery.
So the United States has intervened in Haitian affairs quite a lot.
President Moïse's assassination in 2021 left some Haitian officials calling for U.S. intervention, but not everyone agrees.
The only way that that could ever even have a fruitful outcome would be if it was because they were in dialogue with Haitian people for the first time. Because that is not what usually happens. That's not what happens at all. They dialogue with the people claiming power, and some negotiation is struck between those vying for power and the United States government. There's a lot of people saying, no, we don't want the United States to come and intervene again, because this is, again, a repetition of history.
The history that Professor Doubt is talking about involves the United States' 19-year occupation of Haiti, an occupation that killed thousands of Haitians.
You ain't even know that, did you? You ain't know that? I ain't know that.
Following the assassination of Haiti's president in 1915,
so they keep getting their presidents assassinated. Oh, well, look at that. How is that a recurring theme in this country so close to us?
U.S. President Woodrow Wilson's administration invaded Haiti to protect U.S. investments. Then, they forced the election of a new Haitian president who would affect American interests in the country. Racist and fear-mongering rhetoric was used to justify the move. The occupation ensured that the U.S. prioritized its own interests in Haiti over what was best for Haitians. The U.S. occupation ended in 1934 after local dissent and rebellion grew too costly for the US to control. But even after the occupation, the United States continued to play a role in the internal affairs of Haiti.
Kind of reminds me of Cuba.
In 1957, the US government threw its support behind a Haitian dictator, François Duvalier. Duvalier and his successor, aka his son Jean-Claude, ate up aid from the United States in exchange for their strong anti-communist stand at the height of the Cold War. Haitian uprisings ended Duvalier Jr.'s rule and led to Haiti choosing its democratically elected leader, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, in 1990. But within a year, Aristide's government was toppled by a coup. Not only was one of the leaders of the coup on the CIA's payroll, but the US had set up and funded the Haitian military and National Intelligence Service, which both played key roles in the coup. Ousted Aristide returned to his second presidency in 2001, and again was forced out of office by a coup that he claimed the US had orchestrated. And after that, President Obama's cabinet pressured a Haitian presidential candidate to withdraw in 2010.
We see reports coming out of various civil society organizations saying that Haitians have lost faith in the electoral process because it doesn't reflect their actual concerns.
And that brought us to the 2016 Haitian presidential election, where late President Moïse was elected with an extremely low voter turnout, but US backing. In February 2021, Moïse refused to step down at the end of his term. The US once again backed him while thousands of Haitian protesters took to the streets.
Many Haitians are saying, we want to try actual Haitian democracy, where the Haitian people, not just the elite and the bourgeoisie and the business interests, get to have a say and determine the direction and future of the country.
It's clear that Haiti's poverty and political instability has long been influenced and shaped by foreign players. So, knowing this, where does Haiti go from here?
We have never been able to see what could happen in this particular Black country without meddling and interference. We should try something new in the United States, and that is back off and back away and let the Haitian people determine their own future.
Won't happen. Hey man, I just wanted to stop that. I just wanted to, show something that you probably aren't familiar with or haven't seen, man, just to give a little context, because, we getting it in real time, double time on the news and social media feeds or whatever. And we see the pictures and we get emotional, but without context. You know what I'm saying? And to know that there's a long history with our relationship to the Haitian people and how this country's government treats them. So I say that to say, think about it. Have you ever seen horseback Border Patrol agents choosing to use their whips on anybody? Have you ever seen that footage? According to them, there are caravans of illegals that try to cross daily. Have you never in your life seen that type of display? No, you haven't. So it's just ironic and weird how, this is the maneuver that we got to see. I just found that interesting. So think about that. So there's that, man. Shout out to all the Haitian Massive. There's an old book, go grab it, called The Political Hitman. Political Hitman, where they talk about World Bank and IMF type stuff where underdeveloped third world countries receive large sums of money as loans, and when they default on the loans, the United States and other superpowers basically just come in and take over. And we've seen it time and time again. But imagine, like, from Haiti's standpoint, imagine getting free, and then and the price of getting free is you got to pay your oppressor back. That's like being at a job, right? And you work for free, and you finally be like, "Hey man, after this job, man, y'all tripping. I'm not coming to work no more." And matter of fact, you got to lead a building. You telling the boss to lead a building, right? And he like, "Oh, well, wait a minute. You was making me money, champ. So if I lead a building, you got to pay me." And imagine you paying yearly. What in the what? I wish, here's what I wish. and I see this every day, and I'll be trying to find a way to put it into words. I wish we talked about racism differently because, to the educators on here, it's a wonder, like how you would be able to get this type of information out, or how to teach it. With the whole confusion over so-called critical race theory and all of that. I wish we could talk about these things in a reversed or inverted context. All right, walk with me on this. Every time we talk about race and racism, it's always from the context of what it's like having racism enacted against you. We always talk about it from the context, these people, and once the slaves got free, even when we, writing something out and explaining something, then at this time in 1791, slaves fought for their independence. What if everything was reversed? Like the entire perspective, the entire conversation was just flipped. Even try it in your every day. Whenever these topics come up, we should be able to talk only about the white side or the oppressor side from their vantage point. Watch the language change. I don't know. I got to explain that better. In my head, it makes complete sense. Like whenever these conversations about, what they do in America, they always, what they trying to, and black people always have to, we always talk from a bottom up type of language where we're trying to explain a point. I say we should do it from the top down. We should be like, and then, this is the year that the devils were finally, outnumbered and you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we should be able to come from the perspective of completely. So the way it is now, when you talk from a victimized position, you're already showing that the humanity is somehow missing from the victim. Whenever we talk about slavery, whenever we talk about racism, we thinking we're adding emotion to it, but you're really taking the humanity out the more you tell the story. So I'm saying flip that on its head and completely remove the humanity from the vantage point of the oppressor. The conversation will change. It's a theory. It's a theory. I'm talking about, okay, bring back the term white devil. Or if you're too sensitive and that's too triggering, bring back the term devil. And refer to everything from a descriptively evil talking point. You know what I'm saying? We all they got freed and they won their freedom and they fought for their freedom. We always talk about from the perspective of the lower status level. Talk about it from the bit. And then what happened was in history books, even in conversation, because I know it's not going to get written in the history books unless we write them. But just be like, and then these devils had the nerve to for 10 years ask for their money back after they, like, ridicule really has to be in place when we tell these stories, when we talk about these historical takes. I think we lack the ridicule and the scorn when we describe some of these historical points. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I feel like if we everybody flipped it and start talking like that and put the ridicule. Don't give me empathy. Don't give me a story of overcoming. Don't give me the victim's perspective. I want the story as told from the person with the boot, not the person with the boot on their neck. I want the story. I want to hear you describe and try to make it sound good from the person wearing the boot. I think there needs to be more of that. Because I feel like, when we don't do that, it allows people who have benefited and privileged, they can just be like, oh, they can just show empathy and then it's over. They get a pass. I think ridicule and scorn needs to be woven into the story while you're telling the story. All right, let's move on. Y'all don't hear me though, but good to see y'all. All right, let's get to this next one. I got quite a few today, man, but I ain't gonna talk you out of death. This was funny when this was sent to me. Let's just go to it because I want to know, parents of school-aged children, are y'all dealing with this? Is this something that you're dealing with? Because this lady was irate. I wanted to play this video of tribal people trying soul food for the first time. We may do that. If thumbs up if you want to see that. We may do that if we have time. But here's a quick one. True story. This actually happened. Here we go. This lady was at a school board meeting and she's furious. And here's why. She don't like what they teaching her kids. All right, let's go to the
I do not want my children to learn about anal sex in middle school. I've never had anal sex. I don't want to have anal sex. I don't want my kids having anal sex. I want you to start focusing on education and not public health.
Stone, you're on.
All right, we'll catch you from the beginning in just a second.
Our children. Do not teach them about anal sex. Anal sex.
The face, though.
I do not want my children to learn about anal sex in middle school. I've never had anal sex. I don't want to have anal sex. I don't want my kids having anal sex. I want you to start focusing on education and not public health.
Stone, you're on.
You are supposed to be educating our children. Not teach them about anal sex.
Thank you, man.
Anal sex.
She came up to
I do
the
not
mic.
want my children to learn about anal sex.
Choosing violence. All right, so the reason this stood out to me was I have a coworker who is currently dealing with raising a granddaughter, and the granddaughter's in middle school, and this coworker is like in her 70s. Wait, let me get over here so I can see y'all. She's a little older. She's an elder, and she basically, so she came in a tizzy one day because they had sent something home with the granddaughter. It was like kind of like a permission slip, if you will, that they were about to show this video. But I think it happened after. Like the permission slip was more like a notice that we showed this in I guess health class or whatever part of the curriculum where they do that now, because I know they do it differently in different places. But I don't know if it's called social studies or public health class or whatever class it was in. She said they sent home a notice, said they showed a video, kind of a tutorial or informational on, Sally has two mommies, that type of thing. Or Billy has two daddies. But from a sexual standpoint, where it was like, I'm not gonna jump out there and say a how to, but in her words, it was super graphic. And she was beside herself. Incensed is not even the word. From a different era. And she said she just could not understand why that even, I think the granddaughter was in the 6th grade, why that even needs to be a thing. And I was like, some of y'all are dealing with this. But you got the thing where how much is too much? How far is too far? Granted, what they say, your kids are gonna learn about it somehow. It's better if they learn it in a structured educational format than out there on the streets, and when they get it on TV anyway, or they get it on social media anyway, so you might as well, and blah 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 and blah blah blah, right? But I feel like at some point, it's not even about diversity and inclusion. I mean, just the hyper sexualization of our children is way over the top anyway. But I think that like schools at that age and trying to justify that as a reason to make that curriculum above and beyond, like the lady in this clip say, hey man, just teach math. You know what I'm saying? I don't need my kid. I don't need my kid to know sexual positions and options on what to do and how to do it. Now, I don't know. I'm just going off this clip. I don't know if that's what happened, if she's speaking hyperbole, if she's talking metaphorically, or if in her child's class, they're actually going through that. If they are actually doing that, I think that's too much. I think that's too much. Let's hear from an educator. Let me feel free to call to the phone line is 765. Let's go 765-538-7461. Are they doing that in school district near you? You think it's too much? You think it's right on time? You think by way of diversity and inclusion that kids are getting it, so you might as well, I saw something on social media talking about, STD rates around the urban population and kids nowadays, this, and that. You need to teach them how to be safe. So sex education is important. It's part of public health. I get all that. I want to hear both sides of the argument. So if you got an opinion, feel free to jump on. I'll put the link in the chat as well. Damn, I hit the stop again. I'll put that in the and let me hear. Let me go to our female contributor, who's also an educator, standing by. So whenever you get situated over there. All right, let's see what some of y'all are saying. Kanari says schools overreach. Some stuff needs to be taught at home. Nola says, hey, teach them all about it. Wait a minute, I lost the comment. Where'd he go? Teach them all about it. Just go ahead and show Debbie loves Dallas. All right. Let's go to our female contributor who's also an educator. Hey, Cutie Pie, welcome to the program.
Hello. I had to get my lighting right because I know y'all in front of me.
And thank you. And thank you.
So I had to chime in on this because I'm 24 years in the system, and I want to say year number 7 for me. I saw this coming. And what happened? So you asked about, do they talk about it in social studies or in health?
Yeah. What is it called?
It's health.
Okay. All right.
And so when the curriculum started shifting towards that, like I said, I was in year 7. They started talking about my 2 dads, my 2 moms. And I was just like, what is going on? And, parents didn't know the shift at the time. So I really like that mom just now. Oh my gosh. Power to the people. She was like, yo, teach math. My child don't need to know about anal, whatever. Power to the people. Like I wholeheartedly feel her. I don't think that type of platform is good for students, because I believe that there's something called you're giving those
pre-com.
Oh God, no.
Oh, I thought you said that's what they were teaching.
You're pre-exposing some of these students. No, you're pre-exposing some of these students that don't even know anything about it. So it's almost like, some of these kids are like
lumping everybody in and be like, all right, we all learn this at the same time. I don't care if you don't know it.
Exactly.
We want to keep everybody safe. So we want to, yeah. And some of them ain't ready for that.
Exactly. So it's too much. Yeah. So that was, look, like I said, I'm 24 years in. That was year 7 when I saw the shift. Oh, it's crazy now. Now it's just like, not only are you showing, in the health books, you're showing the families, the blended families with the two. So of course, somebody's talking.
Oh, geez.
You're showing the families with the 2 dads and the kids that they've either adopted or they had somebody have the babies for them. You're showing the 2 moms with the families where somebody was the carrier of the baby. And I know there are some people that are just like, oh, well, you got to accept this. No, I don't have to accept it. I don't. I don't have to accept it. I don't. So what you do in your house, cool. I'm not in your house, but I don't have to accept it. And that's the push. It's like that group is so sensitive about it. It's like, oh, why you feeling this way about us? This is our right to do. Okay, but I don't have to accept it. I can love you from afar, you know, do what you got to do, because I do have friends that have this issue. You know, they're raising children that have seen this, or are they raising children with this type of extended family with the two dads or the two moms. I get it. I love you. I ain't got to accept it.
All right, but that's not even the point we talking about right here. There's not even acceptance. Not even talking about the inclusion part. Are they teaching kids more than what sex is?
Too
Are
much.
they teaching how?
So what district was that?
I don't know.
Okay, so
somewhere white.
I can speak for DMV. I haven't seen that in the health curriculum.
Okay.
Now I don't know where that I don't know where that was, but that's why I said power to that mother, because I would be at the school board doing the same thing. Like, listen, my child needs to know math, science, and economics, and how to be
the rest.
My child don't need to know these positions and this. No, my child don't need to know that.
Yeah. Today, class, we're going to talk about butt fucking. All right, let's go to the phone real quick. Welcome to the program. Wait, let me see. Is she still there? Oh, the phone is acting up. I see. Wait a minute. It's not letting me select. Let me drop that phone call and then see if SD should call back. Let's see. Or let me call you back. Can you hear? Oh, yeah. Call back from New York. But yeah, that's that's the tricky part. Like,
it's too much.
And the best comment I saw underneath that, because I live for the comments. The best comment was like, "Wait a minute, so they can cut her mic off,
of course,
because she's talking about it, but in class, you get the full 50 minutes.
Ain't nobody cutting the teacher's mic off when you're talking about. So then, when you do this, you bend over. No,
right.
The mom wants math, science, reading, language arts. She don't want no anal design, nothing.
All right, let's try this again. All right, welcome to the program. Let's go live.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Hi. All right. So my question was, I don't know, maybe I'm coming from this. I'm not a parent, but are they teaching too much? It could be yes and no. Are you talking about butt sex in the second grade? That's absolutely inappropriate. But I feel like if they're going to teach it, this may be the opportune time for the parents to combat it at home, like discuss it with your children. You don't have to agree with what they're doing, and like Cutie Pie said, that I don't have to agree with it just because it's going to happen, but I feel like this is a conversation that can be developed with the parent and child. If you don't like what the schools are teaching, now is the opportunity for you to teach them something. I think the problem is that for a lot of parents, it's an uncomfortable conversation. Instead of having the conversation, they rather brush it, put it under the rug. It's difficult because, again, I'm not a parent. I'm just looking at from the outside,
But why is that part of the curriculum, though?
As a 1-year-old, and one of the kids shows has the same thing. It's like, oh, this person has 2 mommies, and I didn't understand what her issue was. But she was like, she's too young for that. And I'm like, well, they're just starting them early because this is something that they're going to see in society. And another friend of ours, she was like, yes, but they don't understand what sex is. Why can't you just show them colors and blocks and letters? Why are you telling them at 1 year old that this person has 2 mommies? And this was just a child show. So I feel like it's both. And like, yes, they need to teach them this, but it needs to be a gradual incline, and it needs the help of the parents too.
All right, let's break that down. So wait a minute, let me ask you what a Cutie Pie asked. What was your question again? Because you can't.
I said, why would that be part of the curriculum? Why is that necessary to be part of the curriculum? I don't care what age. I don't care if it's middle school age. Elementary, I feel like it's way too early. But why middle school or high school?
Just ask the question. So, wait a minute. She was going on and on. So she was saying, why does it need to be curriculum, though, at that age? Why can't it be like a workshop or an optional thing at the end of the week, a club?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they feel like they're being progressive. I have no freaking clue why it needs to be a curriculum. I mean, my thing is, who's going to teach it to them? Are you gonna let Pornhub teach it to them? Are you gonna let the school teach it to them? Are you going to teach it to them? Because a lot of people really are not going to do it. Like, what do they say? Advocate education to the teachers. Like, you can't. It's a combination of everything. Because even if you ignore it, society is going to show them something, and it may not be what you want them to know. So whose task is it?
Yeah. So you saying why not? Why not the school? But all right, so
I'm like, work in conjunction with, work in tandem with the school. Don't just let the school do it. If you don't like it, yeah, give them pushback. But you need hands in. You can't tell the school, I don't want you to do this, but you're not gonna. But you as a parent or an educator are not going to help the school. That's not going to work either.
Okay. Now let's go back to the inclusion piece. And you were saying how like a first grader or a 1-year-old or whatever, however you said it, you know, they're going to see someone that has same gender parents. So why not teach it at that early age? Does that really matter to a first grader? In your opinion?
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. Because with my friend who's a psychology student, she pointed out, I was like, okay, it makes sense now. I understand. You're talking about genitalia and sexuality, and this child doesn't even know that they are male or female. They don't understand the concept of that. So it is too early. And to be honest, like, I'm looking at it from an aspect of living in New York City. I'm going to see a lot of things that somebody in rural Kansas and Kentucky are not going to see. So they may not see two same gender loving people, but here I am, I'm going to see that. So maybe the education needs to be adjusted based on the area. I don't know. Like, it's so hard. It's not a one answer.
Right. But I tell you what, whenever I get into this back and forth, people always say, well, you gotta be open to it. It's a different time, and inclusiveness, and it's going to be hard to keep that from them. Right. I always hear that. But then at the same time, right now in the education system nationwide, they're removing what they don't want in it.
Exactly.
I mean, we've seen it with critical race theory. They're like, we don't want that in it. It's coming out of there.
You know what? I was just about to say that, as you said. I was like, how the hell can I trust you to teach sex education and you can't even tell me the actual history about Black people or people outside of the goddamn U.S.? So again, it's not a one answer solution. I can't trust you with sex education because I can't trust you with the melanated people that are living right in front of you. So again, but this is the problem. This is why you got to have hands-on with the education system. It's just too tricky. It's not tricky. It's a lot of work that people are not willing to do. That is not going to be an overnight thing. That's not going to be a one generation thing. It's destroy and rebuild.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. She went 5% on destroy and rebuild. All right. I appreciate it, Deisha. Thanks for the call as always.
Before I go, you petty for hitting the drums for when she said,
don't draw attention to it. You're not supposed to draw attention to it.
Goodbye.
Don't draw attention to it. Jeez. Act like you've been here. All right. There it is. Our female contributor. Hey, Kitty Pie. Interesting stuff, man. Great conversation. We probably have to revisit that some other time. But wait a minute. On the way out, I just want to play this one more time because I like how she...
Sex. I do not want my children to learn about anal sex in middle school. I've never had anal sex. I don't want to have anal sex. I don't want my kids having anal sex. I want you to start focusing on education and not public health.
Stone, you're on.
Yeah, why y'all cut the mic? Like she's just talking about what they talked about in class.
Anal sex.
The way she said anal sex. Like I told you earlier, when you start enunciating, that's when you mean business. Anal sex. She got a red sundress with her shoulders out to the school board meeting. She definitely has had it. Okay. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, that's it, folks. And on a light note, Friday, man's all fun and games. Please come back to the show. We're going to be doing a lot. All right. Money Wheel is reset. And some other stuff. But hope to see you then. Friday, 6 p.m. Friday, 6 p.m. Friday, 6 p.m. Thanks to everybody that made the show possible. Everybody tuning in. Hit the thumbs up. Turn the notifications on. That way you know when it's time, and it'll ping you, and it'll remind you. Set that reminder. You won't even have to do nothing. Nola says, teach your children about everything, and then instruct them to teach all their friends at school. Ah, hilarious. Teach math, not anal sex. That's a t-shirt coming through. Coming soon. All right, here we go. Don't forget, I need we get these numbers up on the Instagram page. If you got Instagram, LGO_ all fun and games. And follow me at all social media, Mr. Lamont King. And we will see you Friday, man. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Tell somebody about it, and we'll see you soon. Be safe, y'all.
I don't care if it is a closet. You still looking mad official.